What's going on, Geek Seekers? Been a minute since I posted a Meta-Musings, but that's not all that rare for my vlog posting on this channel. Well, my vlog posting, period. But I actually have recorded this Meta-Musing once already and didn't realize how bad my box fan can jack up the audio, especially when I'm just using the mic on my phone. So I'm re-recording. But I wanted to get this message out because I feel like it's a message that might help some people. Um, Hopefully, inspire some people and encourage some people. I mean, that's always the purpose of these vlogs. But with everything that's been going on this year, that everybody is going through, everybody is experiencing, everybody is aware of. It's definitely time to get a Meta-Musings out to put some positivity out in the world. I feel a little guilty that I didn't get this out sooner. I feel like it could have, you know, really had a good impact a month or two ago. But better late than never, and it's never too late to put some positivity out in the world. So here I am. Um, the message of this Metamusing is a bright future after a dark time. And the concept is one that has been explored and told through many different mediums, many different forms of storytelling across many different forms of fiction and nonfiction, for that matter, just in our history. But there's a form of bright future that often comes to mind because it feels like it's like right there and potentially achievable by humanity, especially considering um, what strides man has made already, and how some things kind of coincide together from this particular um, fiction. And the fiction I'm referring to is Star Trek. Um, all my Meta-Musings, they've got to have that nerdy connection because that's what I'm all about. But I've loved Star Trek since I was a kid, and as I've grown older, I've learned to appreciate it, on many different levels. But the biggest thing that I love about it is that it is such a message of hope for humans, becoming something more, becoming something better. Um, because in the fictional history of Star Trek, um, you know, we see, if you're familiar with Star Trek at all, we see humans, in a very civilized sort of society, and they've achieved amazing things. Like they've obliterated world hunger. They found that, I think they've found the cure to cancer. They've found the cures to most diseases, like except for, like, I think extremely rare genetic ones. um they've conquered all of our humankind's greatest blights, essentially. And they achieved this by uniting, by working together, by overcoming their differences, by finding common ground and focusing on finding the solutions to making the world and their spheres of influence better places, and thinking about making it a better place not only for themselves but for each other, that balance between the self and the other. And what's even more inspiring about it is that the history of humans in Star Trek is there's some stuff in there that really kind of echoes, what we could, what we have seen and what we can see, potentially happening moving forward. Humanity goes through some really dark times, like, not outright another set of dark ages, but a period where humans are extremely violent. There's dictatorial government bodies that, uses the death penalty for lots of different things. Trying to use violence and fear to maintain some semblance of order, and humans become sort of this very dark version of what our race, our species can be. And I think there's even a third world war, and nearly wipe ourselves out until we finally realize, all right, we got to change. We got to do something different. And then slowly but surely humans start to pull themselves together. Now granted, it's also a part of that is realizing that we're not alone in the universe. You know, there's a movie, Star Trek First Contact, that's all about um, humans' first warp travel trip through space. It's just a short trip, but they achieve warp speed, and that gets the attention of a neighboring alien race that then sparks, sort of the progression of humans, where again, they realize they're not the only intelligent species, in the universe, and through these other aliens, they see, what they could potentially achieve. And again, they start to focus on the bigger picture. They start to focus on, you know, you know, coming together in order to achieve a greater goal instead of focusing on the differences that divide. And that gives me hope, at least in some ways, of what we can do as people. And well, I'll kind of touch on a dark episode, really, a sort of a dark period in Earth's history that was eerie to watch. So the episode came out it was from the series Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It was like season 3, I think. But the episode came out in 1992, I think. 92? 92? No, 94. It came out in 1994. And so 26 years ago, it's a time travel episode, and some of the crew members end up in the year 2024. And I think it's 2024. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, when they're there, society is very similar to what we're used to now, to an extent. At least the '90s version of it. And they end up in one of these places called a sanctuary district, and the whole idea behind it is that the sanctuary districts were originally created as a place for people who are homeless and jobless and such to go, but they end up becoming a place where once you go there, there's no leaving, and it's like, basically it's where they send all of their society's undesirables to put them out of sight and out of mind. And the event in history, a major event in human history, is that one of these sanctuary districts ends up erupting into riots, and there's this hostage situation. Which let me say it right now: I do not condone taking hostages, or don't really condone violent acts of any kind. I don't believe that's the best solution. It may be necessary in certain situations, but I don't. I don't think we're there yet, at least not on that scale, and I don't think it's the best solution if you can achieve it another way. But essentially, again, this sanctuary district erupts into riots, and then it draws attention to the situation, and it causes the people who have the ability to influence and make change to make the changes, to say, all right, we can't ignore this anymore, and it's a step in the right direction for humanity. And so it was really eerie watching this, because I was like, man, this is like what's happening right now. Some major differences, but still. But again, it's coming back to what gives me hope about Star Trek is, we've seen Star Trek, the fiction of Star Trek, sort of mirror life, and then we've seen life kind of mirror Star Trek. Like, a lot of technological advances are inspirations from Star Trek series. The old flip cell phones that we had, the razors or whatever, were inspired by the communicator devices from the original Star Trek, and then we have iPads and everything now, which were inspired by the pad, the touch screen interface devices in Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's just some pieces. 3D printers are another thing that are inspired by the replicators in Star Trek, and so there are. It's like we see things that are similar to Star Trek being achieved, inspired by Star Trek, and I hope that we continue to see things like civil rights and equality and a coming together of humanity with greater understandings. As we gain more knowledge, as our intelligence increases, or at least we channel that intelligence more. Hopefully, we can come to common ground and focus on making our world better. So the biggest thing I want you to come away with on this Meta-Musings is to, through the dark times, remember that there is hope for the future. And a part of that hope is you taking action, you doing what you can do. Stay focused on the solution and not only the end result, but the best way to get there. And do it in big actions. Go be a part of these peaceful protests, calling for change. Wear your mask, practice social distancing, be conscious of keeping other people safe, especially now we're starting to see more of a spike in COVID cases when everything started opening back up. We have to treat this respectfully. It's a reality none of us wanted, but it's here, so we have to deal with it, and we have to deal with it in the best way we can. And and I believe that with examples in our history that we can continue to make change for the positive. So do it in big ways, do it in small ways. Not only wearing the mask, but do something kind that you can for the people that you live with. For while practicing social distancing, do something like giving words of encouragement to a friend or a neighbor. You know, but just again, focus on that positive. Focus on what you can do. So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're keeping safe through everything, and just remember that somebody out here loves you. I love you at least enough to put these videos out, and I hope that's something that helps you and encourages you. So take care, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.